Hi, I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Wednesday, March 7th. News from Arkansas and also from that big presidential race that continues to dominate the discussion in the media and everywhere else I go. Has there ever been an election when the so-called experts have ever been wrong so many times, whether it's in polls or punditry? Last night's a pretty good example. Donald Trump, now the focus of tens of millions of dollars of opposition advertising and media research, particularly by Republicans, can't believe he's about to walk away with the Republican nomination. Continue to rack up primary victories last night, particularly in Michigan. Big turnouts, continues to show strong support. Leading Ted Cruz, John Kasich didn't do very well, and Marco Rubio, who was going to be the establishment's choice, came out last night with not a single new delegate for the Republican National Convention. Trump marches on. The other big news last night was, though, Hillary Clinton, despite winning a big victory in Mississippi, lost a close race to Bernie Sanders in Michigan, where Sanders had made a big effort and whose message on trade agreements and appeals to the working class, disaffected middle class workers had a hard time in recent years really resonated. The interesting thing there was that the polling average said Hillary was going to run away with Michigan by 21 points on average. Bernie won by 1.6 points. Does that mean there's trouble ahead for Mrs. Clinton in Wisconsin, Illinois, and Ohio, big Midwestern states that loom ahead? We'll see. Next week could tell the tale. Ohio, Florida, and North Carolina are on the docket, and they loom large on both parties' cases. It was interesting, there was a new poll by the Wall Street Journal and NBC News today that shows that if Trump and Hillary are the nominees, this would happen. The nation as a whole would go overwhelmingly for Hillary Clinton. But if the vote were only by white men, Trump would win by 15 or 17 points. There's a divide, this poll showed, both with Bernie Sanders and with Donald Trump, that white men, angry white men, really like Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. These may be economic issues, they may be something more. But there's a lot to talk about in the weeks ahead. Clinton still is presumed the favorite by the punditry, partly because of support among the so-called superdelegates, the party regulars, whose votes are not determined by the primary outcomes, but those things can change come convention time. On a more local topic, the Arkansas Public Policy Panel is urging people who support the Little Rock School District to call and write State Board of Education members and urge them to look hard at approving more charter school seats for the Little Rock School District. They say that it will take away higher income and non-minority students from the school district, making the school district have even a harder time to achieve better. A very poor school district generally has a hard time in meeting sufficiency standards on tests. Elsewhere, Democratic leader Michael John Gray, a state representative and the leader of the Democratic caucus there, says no, of course, the Arkansas Democrats will not force the failure of the private option, the Medicaid expansion that's been in place in Arkansas for 2 years, simply to get some concessions out of Governor Asa Huchinson. But he hopes they can use their necessary support to pass that continued Medicaid program to win some concessions out of the governor. They got absolutely zero from Huchinson in the last legislation. I do think an all or nothing approach perhaps that would cost people health insurance coverage doesn't seem a realistic choice. But of course the governors would make that same choice too. He ought to work with the Democrats and collaborate and give them something for their effort. If he doesn't, the Democrats are going to have to think long and hard about the way they go along and respond on other issues. Bart Hester, speaking of out on the fringe legislators, a senator from Northwest Arkansas, is pushing hard to cut state spending every way possible. The Republicans want to drown government in the bathtub, so to speak. He said yesterday that they ought to sell War Memorial Stadium and also think hard about cutting funds to AETN, the popular public television network. He's also in favor of cutting spending for higher education. Already, Asa Hutchinson's budget provides no extra money for higher education and only a tiny increase for public education. He wants to take money from the regular budget to build highways and also to pay for tax cuts. Something's got to give. Good news for Little Rock residents, although the bad news still lingers. The State Highway Department said today that high river levels and mechanical problems have put off indefinitely the 6-month closure of the Broadway Bridge for its replacement by a structure that's being built along the banks of the river and will be put in place when the other bridge is torn down. Not sure when that construction is going to start. They say they can do it for the same price. It'll be the first construction project ever that was delayed and didn't cost any more. They say also that it won't affect the 30 crossing project, that idea to widen Interstate 30 to 10 lanes through the middle of Little Rock and replace the Arkansas Highway Bridge on that road. And finally, some happy melodic news. Paul McCartney, the great Beatle, former Beatle anyway, is going to be at Verizon Arena in North Little Rock on April 30th. The concert, big news. Hurry and get your tickets. They're expected to go fast. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.
You feel it in your heart. The spirit of Little Rock. We've had that spirit since 1927, helping build our city by producing decades of leaders in the heart of our state. We are the heart of business and innovation, the heart of politics and government, the heart of arts and culture, and in our city beats the heart of a Trojan. UALR, we are Little Rock's team and Little Rock's University.